David Kim sets up a new user account for his daughter Margot and takes a family photo with her and his wife, Pam. As Margot grows up, they upload many family photos and videos online. Margot starts learning piano and David buys her one to practice with Pam daily. Sadly, Pam is diagnosed with lymphoma and despite their best efforts, she ends up in the hospital. Margot marks an event on her calendar for Pam's return home. In the hospital, Margot plays a sad tune on a toy piano for her sick mom. Pam passes away and David and Margot take a photo together on Margot's first day of high school without Pam. One day, David video calls her to remind her about the trash and asks about her plans. Margot tells him she'll be late at her biology study group and ends the call before David can ask about her exam. Through messages, she admits she didn't do well but will pass. David tells Margot he's proud of her and starts to type that Pam would be too, but deletes it. While browsing the news and listening to music, David gets a video call from his brother, Peter. Peter is trying to cook Pam's special kimchi gumbo. David promises to find the recipe and jokes about Peter's oregano stash. Peter quickly changes the subject and asks about David's relationship with Margot. Before Peter can ask more personal questions, his doorbell rings and he reminds David to send the recipe before ending the call. Peter stumbles upon a video of Pam and young Margot making kimchi gumbo while searching for a recipe. The video brings back painful memories for David, who decides to remove it from his search results. David misses 3 calls from Margot while he's asleep. He tries to contact her the next morning through FaceTime, calls, and texts, but gets no response. By 3 p.m., David still hasn't heard from Margot. After his work meeting, he's about to text her when he notices that she left her laptop at home, which is unusual for her. He leaves another voicemail for her, during which he realizes that it's Friday and she should be at her piano lesson. He calls her piano teacher to talk to Margot, but the teacher is confused because Margot stopped attending lessons 6 months ago. Surprised by this, David looks through his past conversations with Margot. He finds pictures of himself giving her money for piano lessons and messages from Margot saying the lessons were going well. Worried, he calls her school and learns that she didn't attend class that day. He texts his brother, who suggests that Margot might have skipped school to go on a trip with her friends. He advises David to ask her friends about her whereabouts. David doesn't know any of Margot's friends, so he tries to find her social media accounts, but they're all private. He logs into the family's old computer using Pam's account. Pam has an address book with the contacts of Margot's middle school friends. David calls Isaac's home, and Isaac's mother recognizes him. She tells David that her son and his friends went camping and that Margot was invited. They're expected to return the next morning. Upset, David drafts a long text message expressing his anger, but he deletes it and instead asks Margot to call him back. The following morning, Isaac informs David that Margot never arrived for the trip and didn't respond to his attempts to contact her. This prompts David to report his daughter as missing. Detective Rosemary Vick contacts David shortly after, informing him that she's been assigned to Margot's case. She expresses her sympathy as a fellow parent and asks David to provide more details about the events. While Detective Vick is reviewing the timeline of Margot's disappearance, David is researching her online. He finds a video of her receiving an award, her Facebook page showing she has a son, and an article about her involvement in a recovery clinic with former convicts. David tries to log into Margot's Facebook account on her laptop, but the password isn't saved. He clicks on Forgot Account and a code is sent to her email, which he can't access. He then sends another code to her recovery email, which he set up, and successfully logs in. He looks at her Facebook friends list and starts calling them. David asks each friend when they last saw Margot and where they were the night she disappeared. He records their responses in a spreadsheet and shares it with Detective Vick, who asks him to keep her updated. David then begins calling each of Margot's 289 Facebook friends, asking them the same questions. After numerous calls, David realizes that Margot didn't have any close friends and often kept to herself. After contacting two-thirds of her Facebook friends and not finding any useful information, David expresses his frustration to Peter. Peter suggests that David should also investigate Margot's offline friends and activities. David goes through Margot's school records and gets in touch with Abigail, who hosted a study group at her house that night. Abigail confirms that the study group ended at 9 p.m. and that Margot had left by then. She also mentions that Margot was a loner and frequently used Tumblr. While David is checking this, he receives an email from Detective Vic, who shares traffic camera footage of Margot filling up her car with gas and leaving town. David notes down the location on Google Maps. David checks Margot's bank account and sees that she has been depositing the money for her piano lessons there. He notices a $2,500 payment made to a deleted user on Venmo 6 days earlier. He also checks her Instagram account and sees a user named Derek Ellis constantly posting inappropriate comments on Margot's pictures. David finds Derek's number and asks him about his whereabouts on the night Margot disappeared. Derek tries to evade the question, but when David threatens to involve the police, he admits that he was at a Bieber concert. Detective Vic sends David an email with a fake ID, suggesting that Margot met with a forger around the same time she withdrew the money. Detective Vic speaks to Venmo's security and learns that Margot sent the $2,500 to herself, making it untraceable. She suggests that Margot may have run away, but David refuses to accept this and continues his investigation. He looks through Margot's most visited websites and finds a streaming site called Ucast. Not knowing how the site works, he clicks on Cast Now and accidentally starts a live stream. As soon as he does, a user named Fish and Chips joins and leaves the stream within seconds. David ends the stream and starts looking through Margot's saved live streams. He sees that Margot had few viewers, but Fish and Chips was a regular. This user once asked Margot about her favorite Pokemon, to which she replied Uxie, because it can erase memories. They spoke frequently, during which Fish and Chips revealed her financial difficulties due to her mother's tumor treatment. Despite this, Detective Vic confirmed that none of the Ucast members, including Fish and Chips, were linked to Margot's disappearance. Before turning off Margot's computer, David noticed a picture of a lake, which he also found on her Tumblr. He located the lake on Google Maps and realized that Margot had intended to go there. He rushed to the lake and found Margot's Pokemon keychain, which he showed to Detective Vic when she returned his call. The next day, the news reported that Margot's car was found in the lake, but she was not inside. Volunteers began searching the surrounding forest, but the search was postponed due to heavy rain. Meanwhile, the internet was filled with accusations against David and false claims of friendship with Margot. David, upset by Derek's Facebook post, confronted and assaulted him, leading to his removal from the investigation by Vic. David then found a subreddit dedicated to Margot's case and noticed a Finns hockey hoodie in a photo of the car. Since this hoodie belongs to his brother, he started checking on him and discovered suspicious messages in Margot's chats with his brother Peter, revealing that they had been meeting secretly. Instead of emailing Vic about this, David decided to install cameras in his brother's house. David begins questioning Peter about his relationship with Margot and how often they met. Peter, visibly uncomfortable, insists it was a typical uncle-niece relationship and they didn't meet frequently. He dismisses further inquiries and returns to making tea. David starts reading their text messages aloud. Peter tries to explain, but David, not listening, physically attacks him, accusing him of unthinkable acts. The assault only stops when Peter reveals they were smoking weed, not engaging in the activities David suspected. Ignoring a call from Detective Vic, David listens to Peter's explanation. Margot was in pain. She needed to talk about her mother, something David never did. This is why she quit piano lessons. They reminded her of Pam, and she hadn't yet come to terms with her loss. Realizing his lack of understanding about his daughter's life, David sinks onto the couch in despair. He eventually answers Vic's call, which leaves him in tears. Randy Kardoff, a former convict, has posted an online confession of torturing and killing Margot before committing suicide. This is enough to declare Margot dead. David begins uploading photos for a memorial service, and upon completion, a thank you page appears featuring a woman holding flowers. David recognizes the woman as Fish and Chips from Margot's live streams. He searches her profile picture on Google and finds numerous photos of her. Unaware that Margot was catfished and the woman in the profile picture is a stock photo model, he tracks down her number and calls her. She appears to know nothing about the streaming website or the details the detective supposedly verified. David attempts to contact Vic but is unsuccessful. He then reaches out to a 911 dispatcher who can't connect him to Vic directly but commends Vic's voluntary involvement in the case. David has the dispatcher repeat herself, as he was certain Vic said she was assigned to the case. However, the dispatcher confirms it was a voluntary assignment from the moment the missing person report was filed. David re-examines Vic and, upon revisiting the same news page, notices that one of the ex-convicts next to her is Randy Cardoff. David informs the police about Vic's involvement in the case, get her arrested. During her interrogation, she reveals that 6 months ago, her son discovered Margot on the streaming site. He had liked her since grade school, so he created a new identity and began communicating with her. Margot and her friend had a close relationship until she discovered his Venmo account and transferred $2,500 to him for his mother's fictitious hospital bills. He decided to confess the truth, but wanted to do it privately, so he followed her to the lake one night. As Margot was getting high, he entered her car, causing her to panic. In her attempt to escape, he accidentally pushed her off a cliff. Vic, assuming Margot was dead due to the dangerous nature of the cliff, took over the investigation. She convinced David that Margot had run away and informed the police that the area where Margot's body was supposed to be had been searched. To solidify her story, Vic drugged an ex-convict, forced him to read a confession, and then killed him. Once Margot's location was known, a team was sent to find her. Surprisingly, Margot was alive and eventually fully recovered. Later, Margot is seen constantly checking her application status for a music conservatory while messaging her father. She is ready to pursue her passion for piano again. Her father, no longer avoiding discussions about Pam, tells Margot he's proud of her and her mother would be proud too.